I am Ismahani and I will present for question 1 of the group assignment project, which is essentially a simple calculator program. So in synthesizing the problem of question 1, we have broke down the wanted operation of the program into these simple steps, which the simple calculator should first enter an even round number limited between 10 to 30, for example 12, 14, 28, 38 as the first input value. Then it should prompt the user to enter an operator which is limited to plus and minus only. Next is to allow the user to enter another even round number limited between 10 to 30 for the second input value. Now, when the input values for this program has been inserted, it should then carry out the specified arithmetical operation, the adding or subtracting the two input values using a switch statement to calculate answer of the operation and display the result. However, when it finishes the calculation, the program should ask whether the user wants to do another calculation or just simply exit the program. The response can either be a yes or no using simple characters Y or N. It is noted that we should also practice error control and display a clear instruction for user to avoid wrong inputs. For example, if the user inserts any character, symbol, number, or wrong operator as the input, the program will prompt such warnings such as input error, please insert a proper input. So by then, the user should probably insert the correct input in order for the program to continue as usual. Moving on is the flowchart of the program. Now that we have synthesized the problem for a better understanding of the question, a flowchart is important in order to organize your ideas on how to write the C++ program itself. So as you can see from the diagram here, right after the start, the program will prompt and get the first even round number, limited between 10 to 30, labeled as N1, by which afterwards it will conduct an error control process, by which if it does not fulfill the required conditions, it will be regarded as false and will prompt the user to repeat the first step. And if it is true, it will continue to the next step, which is to prompt and get operator limited to plus or minus only. And again, it will have the error control process, and if it does not fulfill the required symbol, which is plus or minus only, it will be regarded as false. But if it does, it will be regarded as true and will continue to the next step, which is to prompt and get second even round number limited between 10 to 30, labeled as N2. From here, another error control will be done. When it is false, it will prompt user to repeat entering the input, but if it is true, now it can continue to the operation of the switch statement. So for the switch statement, if the user has inputted plus, which is to conduct an addition operation, it will be through the first case, which is case plus, by which the answer will be N1 plus N2. But if the user selects a subtraction operation, which is case minus, then the answer will be N1 minus N2. So from here, the answer is already calculated from the program and it will print the result of the operation. After printing the result, it should then prompt the user to either continue or exit the program. So if the user chooses to continue, it will go back to this loop, which is to repeat the calculation. But if the user chooses to exit the program, it will then immediately end. Now, having a clear flowchart of the program, we can continue with writing the actual C++ statement itself. So as any C++ program, it is important to first identify the header file and namespace statement to be used. Then, it is important to declare the variable by which any integers or character that we plan to have the user to insert during input is also noted as well. So the main operation of how this simple calculator will work is by using a do-while loop, which is a process that at least runs once before allowing the user to repeat the code. So as you can see here, the first step is to prompt and get the first input value, which is N1, and then in this process, it will check and see if it fulfills the conditions of the number, which is an even round number between 10 to 30. And if it doesn't, it will go through an error control where it will prompt the user to insert a new input that fulfills the condition. And please note that it is important to remove the error flag in order to prevent the program from crashing, which is why we have the see in clear and the see in ignore here. The see in clear is the main part of removing or clearing the error flag. However, see ignore 500 and \n here is how to annotate the program in knowing the maximum number of characters to be ignored and the delimiter in which the user will insert a new input on a new line. Now, from there, you can continue to the next step, which is to prompt and get the operator. And again, it will check the operation and see if it fulfills the condition, either plus or minus only. And if it doesn't, it will go through an error control and also remove the error flag for the user to insert a new input. Moving on, from there, we can go to the next step, which is to prompt and get the second input value, which is N2. And as usual, it will repeat and checking the input if it fulfills the condition or not, and if it doesn't, it will go through an error control and removing the error flag. And from there, now that we have all the correct inputs, which is proper and fulfilling the conditions needed, it will go through this step, which is the switch statement. So it is important to note that for the arithmetical operation, we have only two cases, which is the addition plus here and the subtraction minus here. So if the user have selected plus from the prompt in getting the operator previously, it will go through this case here and it will print the result as follows. But if the user selects the minus operator, it will go through this case and it will calculate and print the result as needed as well. Then this concludes. Then, continuing from printing the result, it will then prompt the user to either continue or exit the program. So the yes here, or character Y, is to continue the loop and repeat the calculation, while N is to exit and end the program. So as usual, we have an error control, so any input error will prompt the user to insert a new input that is only Y or N, and when it does, it will continue on either clearing the previous calculation using the system CLS here so that the user can continue the program, or when it chooses N, it will give a thank you note here before ending the program itself. From that complete C++ statement written, we can continue with running the program. So just compile and run it as usual, and here is a sample. So first, enter any even round number. For example, let's put 12. Okay, and then let's put plus 12 and you get 24, which is correct. And if you want to continue to another calculation, just simply press Y and hit enter, and it shall clear the calculation previously and allows you to continue to the next one. So let's try a different one. Let's try 16 and minus 28, for example, and you'll get negative 12, which is correct. Am I right? So now you can continue to another calculation to check the error flags. So we know that the addition and subtraction goes well. Let's see if the error flag does its work. So for example, let's put 58 or any number or character. Okay, see, still does not allow to continue to the next step until you put the correct one. Now you can continue to writing the symbol. So if I don't put plus or minus, for example, I put a star, it does not allow you to go to the next step until you continue with the right one. Okay, then you can put any number as well and see if it can continue, and it still doesn't. So we have to put the proper one, for example 22 here, and now you can get the result needed. So it is important that you have this part here, which reminds you what is your first input and which is your second input, in case you did any errors in between inserting the input. So now that we have tried and see that any input error and calculation are all working perfectly, you can now just exit, or if you want to continue, it will repeat the calculation just like the one I showed previously. But if you want to exit, just simply press N and give a thank you note, and you have exited the program.
My name is Aeynnatasya Md Sairudin. My ID is 19001420. this is question 2. So for the question is, a program is required to find the frequency of each digit in given integer. This is sample put, output. Input any number 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. The frequency 0 is 0, 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 1, 4 is 1, 5 is 1, and the rest is 0. Okay, I already synthesized the question here. Input integer numbers, process using inner loop and outer loop. Output the frequency of each digit in given integer. Algorithm. First, start, then the connector. The connector is declare any number a equal to 0, and then a less than 10, false, it will be n. If true, c will be 0, b will be number integer. Then b greater than 10, if true, d will be b remainder 10. Then d equal to a. If true, it will be c plus plus. Then it will be b equal to b over 10. If false, b equal to b over 10, and then it will be go to the b greater than 10 gate. If b greater than 10 is false, it will be display the frequency of each digit in given integer. Then a plus plus is mean a plus 1. Then it will go to the a minus a less than 10. So if you can see, this is outer loop and inner loop. Okay, I will show you the C++ program for this question.
So for this question, we are asked to write the program that will determine the reforested area in a certain amount of time depending on its total uncut area and rate of reforestation after bean harvest. The question stated that we can assume that a total area is equal to 14,000, uncut area is equal to 2,500, and rate of reforestation is equal to 0.02. We are asked to display the number of acres reforested at the end of each year for a total of 20 years. Rather than set a fixed value for the total area, T underscore acre, uncut area, uncut, rate, and total year, I decide to create a user-friendly program where the user will decide the value for all the variables stated. I also include error correction for every error that might occur when user is using the program. the error including correction for every invalid value for t_ika, uncut, years, and red. I also add a feature where the user can choose whether to continue a new calculation or to end the program.
For the flowchart part, we will start and then we initialize the counter I equal to 1. So we will prompt and get the year, and then where the year must fulfill this condition here. And then if the year are invalid, it will display total year is invalid, and then it will continue getting the correct answer or the correct value for the year. The same goes to all the variables, where it will continue asking for a new value if it did not fulfill the condition.
So the next process is the process where it will be displaying the year and total reforestation area for the given time. So while the counter I is less than or equal to year, it will calculate the reforested area. So from here, this process we must I want to explain that the uncut area is now becoming the total reforested area. So it will display the year, which is actually the value of I, and then the uncut, which is the value of reforested area, and then increment for I. And then after this process is ended, is fulfilled, where the I value is greater than the year value, it will continue to this place where it will ask the user to enter whether the user want to continue the process or not. If the user want to continue the process, the user need to input Y, while if the user want to end the process, the user need to input N. If the user input other character, it will display invalid choice entered, and then it will continue to ask a new choice. And then if the choice is Y, which is yes, it will close this the system is closed, and then continue to the beginning process where the place we initialize counter I is equal to 1. But if user enter N, it will display thank you for using this application, and then the program will end.
So we initialize from the library and then initialize all the variables that are used in this program. So the do here is actually where if the user enter yes at the end of the program, it will be delete the previous data and then continue to the new data. So it will get the years, and then if the years is less than or equal to 0, it will get a new data for the year. And then if the year is fulfilled this condition, it will continue and get the new total area. So if the total area is less than 0, it will get the new total area lah. And then after this condition is fulfilled, it will continue to the next process. So the next process is to get the uncut area. So the uncut area here, if the uncut area is less than or equal to 0 or uncut area greater than or equal to total area, it will get the new value for the uncut area. So after the condition is fulfilled, it will continue and get the rate of reforestation. So if the rate of reforestation is between this range 0 and 100, it will continue to the next process. But if the rate is not within the range, it will ask the user to enter a new value for the rate. So after the user enter the correct value for the rate, the program will display this part to start the table. So while I counter I is less than year, it will calculate the reforested area for the first year. So it will continue until the I is equal to year, is greater than year. So in this part, the program will ask the user whether to continue the program or not. So it will say if you press Y, it will continue, while if you press N, it will end the program. So here is the condition where the user only can enter Y or N. Other than that, the program will continue ask for a new character. So if user enter Y, the system will close and then continue to the first, do all the program again. But if the user enter N, the program will display thank you for using this application, and then it will end the program. So that is the output sample for the given data, which is year is equal to 20, total area is 14,000, and total uncut area is 2,500, and rate of reforestation is 0.02. So this is the year, means year first to year 20, and then that is the reforested area. And then here I enter N, and then the program will end.
Hi, I'm Aisyah and I'm gonna explain question 4, which is about compound interest calculator program. The question asks to calculate the compound interest on investment. So the user is going to input initial amount, number of years, and yearly interest rate in percent. So basically this program will do repetition of calculation based on the number of years. So we will use for loop structure in this question. Then the program will display the final amount of the final years and also the amount for each year. For example, at the end of the first year, at the end of the second year, at the end of the third year, and so on. This is the flowchart of the program. So we start and then we get the input of user, which is initial amount, years, and interest. Then it will perform the calculation process, and after that it will display the final amount at the end of the year. Then we go for decision, as you can see in the shape of diamond, where we use for loop structure, which we initialize the I equals to 1, the condition I is less than equal to years, and the index update I++. So first, the I equals to 1, then it will undergoes the process, the calculation, as you can see in the shape of rectangle, amount equals to amount time plus amount times interest rate. After that, it will display at the end of I year, you will have the amount which the program had calculated. Then it will update the index, so I is no longer 0, it will become 2 now. So it will repeat the process until I is less than equals to years. If the I is more than years, it will become false, and then it will finally end the program. So this is the C++ of the program. First, we include the library, which is include IO strip, include CMath. Next, we declare the variables, which are years, amount, interest rate, final amount, and interest. Then, as you can see in the box, the program will prompt and get user input. There are 3 inputs, which are number 1 is the amount, number 2 is the years, and number 3 is the interest. After that, the program will perform the calculation here. So the interest rate equals to interest divided by 100. Final amount equals to amount times 1 plus interest rate to the power of years. Then, the program will give an output of final amount at the end of the year which the user had entered. Then, we use for loop structure because we want to calculate the amount of money for each year. That means we have to perform a repetitive calculation. So in the for loop structure, we have initialize where I equals to 1, the condition I less than equals to years, and index update I++. Then the program will give the output for each year until the desired one. The calculation for this output is amount equals to amount times interest rate. the loop structure will be repeating until I is more than years, which will become false. Then it will end the program. So here is the coding. So let's run this program and see the output. So to test this program, we will use the same value as the question, which is 3,000. Number of years is 10. Interest rate is 5.5. So same as question, the value 5124.43. So this program is correct. So as you can see, the program will display at the end of the final year, which is 10 years, and then below it will display for every year, which is first year, second year, third year, and so on. So that's all from our group. Thank you for watching.